Hello everybody, today we are going to discuss the 26th chapter of The Invisible Man, that is the Wicksteed murder. So in the last chapter we discussed how the plan to capture the Invisible Man was totally failed, though Dr. Kemp had planned along with Colonel Adai. He had sent him a note to come and arrest him, but all that plan was in vain because he could easily escape. Though at the last time Dr. Kemp tried to catch him, but it was of no use and he got invisible by removing his clothes, and at once after undoing and unbuttoning his clothes and all, he just vanished out of their sight and got down the stairs, and Colonel Adai as well, who was coming upstairs, he couldn't understand anything, and finally they were unable to catch him or arrest him. Now he rushed out of Dr. Kemp's house in a state of fury, we can say, in a state of blind fury. He was very much, we can say, exasperated and angry, and a child playing outside Dr. Kemp's gate was caught and thrown aside, and he broke his leg, because we can understand the state of his mind. And then he vanished out of all human perception. He was not seen anywhere, and he might have, it was believed or supposed that he might have climbed up the hill and then went to the downland, because he was not seen, or there was nothing heard about his presence anywhere. And all exasperated, angry, furious, frustrated, hungry as well, he finally found his refuge in the thickets of Hintondian. Yes, Hintondian. This is where he hid himself. So there he found refuge, and he might have stayed there for some time, and we can assume his shock and the state of his mind, because he had thought Dr. Kemp would cooperate him. He had thought that Dr. Kemp would help him in establishing a rule of terror, such a world of terror, because he had confided in him, and Dr. Kemp had showed no reluctance in that. So far he was listening to all his stories, and he had promised that he would help him. So when this happened, we can imagine that he might have been totally shocked by all this, and might be totally frustrated, because he had believed that Dr. Kemp was going to help him. And in this, astonishing, it might really be very much shocking for him, and very much he might have taken aback by all this in a very shocking manner. And then he had to save himself, and so he rushed out of Dr. Kemp's house. And before noon, we can say, he was still a legend, a terror among all, and by the dryly worded proclamation of Dr. Kemp, which was signed by Colonel Adai, which was pasted everywhere in the town, moreover it was announced as well. So he was still some, we can say, a horror for the people of town. He was a terror for all of them. And then after that, in the afternoon, because before afternoon, if he had tried, perhaps he could have removed himself to some nearby district or some such places where he could be safe, but he didn't do so. And after that, by the afternoon, what happened? People traveled in the train by locked doors. When doors were all locked, freight trains had already been suspended, so there was no chance now for him to escape in a train, and any even goods train. So he couldn't escape now. People were all alert and cautious, and by that time or by the evening time, what happened that people were setting out in a group of 3 and 4 with dogs with them, yelping out, trying to search or trying to notice every moment which could be taken as the movement of the invisible man or activity of the invisible man. In that way they were just searching about and going around. And even after that, mounted policemen moved about the town and stopping at every cottage, knocking and warning them not to not to open their doors and windows, keep them all locked and closed, and not to come out without any weapon or arm, otherwise that could be dangerous for them. So, so all awareness about the invisible man and his presence had been spread. The children, say the schools, the elementary schools had been suspended, or the children the schools were off and the children were had to go back home. They were dispersed, and all in groups of 3 and 4, the children were returning home along with their friends. They were all scared, and every moment was being noticed. People were so aware, people were so alert, because the announcement and those notices by Dr. Kemp and Colonel Ladai had made people now very much aware that every moment they had even informed the people that we should not let him sleep and we should not let him eat, because otherwise he will be very much strong again, and to make his attack weak or to make him, say, feeble, this was to be done. And people did it with very much, we can say, alacrity and rapidity. And after that, now the Wicksteed murder was really a bit of, we can say, something difficult to be believed, because Mr. Wicksteed was a man of very inoffensive nature and appearance, and he could be the last person in the world to provoke an invisible man to murder him. But somehow this happened, and the invisible man, he might have, it seems that he might have took an iron rod just as a plan or as a means to bring his plan or some action, bring some idea into action. He might have got this iron rod, which he actually might have took from the fence, but somehow Mr. Wicksteed got in the way. And Mr. Wicksteed was a man of 45 or 46. He was steward to Lord Burdock, and that was near, we can say, that was near this Hintondian thickets. So he might be going by, though Hintondian thickets was not in the usual way of Mr. Wicksteed, but how he got there, that was of something mysterious nature. But it happened so because we have the evidence that the trampled ground was there, the stains of blood was there, and road was there. So some struggle, some desperate struggle had taken place there, and the evidence were very much clear of this, that yes, some fighting struggle had taken place. So it might be because there were some such things which were evident during all this or after all this, and because of this we can assume that yes, there might be a struggle between the invisible man and the Wicksteed. So Wicksteed might be returning for his afternoon meals, and at that time he might have noticed something before him, some movement of the iron rod or something like that. He might have noticed, because there is an evidence to this. A small girl who was returning from his afternoon school, she noticed Mr. Wicksteed trotting in a very strange and very curious manner with his stick in his hand as if groping for something like this. So this seemed to be quite curious to her, and of course we can then conclude on the basis of this that he might have noticed some movement before him, and though that where his body was found, that was not in his usual way home, but because of something that he found in front of his eyes, he might have moved in this direction, and he had the ill luck. We can say he had the ill luck to draw his quarry near the gravel pit, and those nestles, or say those. There was a shrub there, so he actually stinging nettles, as I said. So unluckily, he definitely missed. The invisible man definitely have gone out of his way or kept or maintained the distance, but it happened so that he could not, because he was caught between the two things. One, the gravel pit, and the other was the stinging nettles, and as he could not go out, and definitely if this Wicksteed might have noticed his presence, and at that time we can assume that Wicksteed also was unaware of the invisible man. He might not have heard, because it took time to spread the matter up to that place where he lived or resided. So might not be aware, and so this seemed to him quite curious, and so he followed him out. And the invisible man, afraid of the revelation that his identity could come out and could be known to the other people, so in that fear and frustration with that rod, he hit him, made his head into a jelly, and splintered his stick and broke his limbs, and finally killing him, he moved away. And in the evening, though this was a story by a small girl, and perhaps that could be believed or not, but yes, we have the clear evidence that yes, Mr. Wicksteed's body was there, and also the iron rod was there, was abandoned. He might have taken that iron rod as per his plan of using that in some projects or in some idea or something like that. But the first sight of his victim, all very pitiable, lying on his feet, might have released some pent-up emotions in him, and he might have had that feeling of remorse, because he had no such background. So seeing all that before him, the blood and the dead body and all, he might have felt some remorse, and so he might have left him that and road as well, abandoned there, and went away. Because in the evening, there was a story that a group of men heard some sounds of laughing and wailing and murmuring and shouting, all such as a man just gone mad and something like that. And it must be, as I said, that the release of those feelings which he had in his heart, all buried, and that come out when he saw that victim before him lying on at his feet. And by this time, by the evening, we can say the invisible man might be aware of the advantages that Dr. Kemp had taken of the confidences that he shared with him, because everywhere it was quite easily seen that people were all alert. They were like noticing every movement perhaps, and he might have strolled about the stations and platforms and the other places, but he found doors and windows all locked, and there were not much people on the street. So this kind of scene, he might have understood very well that how Dr. Kemp had used all those information against him. But being an invisible man, it was not easy to stop him, and so he could get his meal. He also slept, and the next day he was himself again all ready to fight against the world, the one man, the invisible man against the whole world. So that was how he got ready to take his revenge upon the world. So this is all about your 26th chapter, the Wicksteed murder. For the next chapter, we'll meet again in the next video. Till then, bye bye.